In the vast expanse of the world called Gielinor, where mountains pierced the sky and rivers wound like silver threads through the green valleys, there lived a man whose name would one day be spoken with curiosity and deep respect. Dionysius, known to most simply as the Wise Old Man. He was called a sage by those who met him, and a wanderer by those who only heard his tale. In truth, he had once been neither old nor settled. In his youth, he walked many roads, fought many battles, and saw wonders too numerous to catalogue fully. Today, let us start at the beginning, or as close to the beginning as history can tell. The earliest stories of Dionysius's life come from his book within the world itself, Dionysius, a legend in his own lifetime, written by Hermann Karanos of the Piscatoris fishing colony. In this work, Hermann, a chronicler and leader, recorded what he learned from texts, interviews, and the testimonies of those who had seen Dionysius in his prime. Questioning the ages of the land, scholars believed that Dionysius wandered as an adventurer long before he ever sat in quiet contemplation. Before the robes, before the long white beard, before the house in Draenor village where he now rests, there was a young man burning with life and curiosity. What we know for certain is that his earlier years, centuries before you find him in Draenor, Dionysius was educated in Verok, the sprawling city of stone and open skies, where scholars and sages gathered to share knowledge. There he studied in a Saradominist chapel, learning the words of wisdom of Saradomin, whom he could always call the great and glorious giver of life. Though he learned much, he was not a boy content to remain within the walls of the church forever. Tales of his youth recount a time when, mischievous at heart and full of spirit, he and his companions scrawled graffiti upon a rival temple, a reminder that even future sages once danced on the edge of youth. Young Dionysius was expected to become a priest, to dedicate his life to sermons and scrolls, but fate had other plans. At the age of 15, he was offered a place to further study on Entrana, the holy island dedicated to Saradomin, and remove of worldly distractions. Yet he turned it down, choosing instead to travel the world, to see all corners of Gielinor with his own eyes. That choice was the first of many that would shape the long and twisting journey of his life. Once Dionysius left Entrana's offer behind, he walked freely through lands many had only read about in dusty tomes. His steps led him northwest to ancient dwarven strongholds, especially the city of Keldagrim, where fires burned in great forges and laughter echoed under stone. There, the chroniclers say, he came upon the Keldagrim Black Guard. These stalwart defenders of the city faced a terrible threat, a tribe of rogue ice trolls led by a fearsome matriarch known only as Mother. These beasts, massive, snarling and relentless, had driven across the ice and snow, threatening to break into the heart of dwarven industry and peace. It was there that Dionysius proved the strength of both his blade and his heart. Standing alongside the Black Guard, he fought to drive back the trolls, helping to pressure Mother's forces until they settled far to the north in the frozen land called Whis. There they vowed revenge, and the mountain tribes remembered Dionysius as a warrior of valor. Yet, that was only the beginning. His path took him onwards to the Calphite lair, deep beneath the shifting sands of the desert, where a massive hive of fury pulsed under the desert floor. Within those twisting tunnels, he faced the Calphite Queen, a monstrous being whose very presence churned the sand above her domain. There, Dionysius fought not merely with sword or staff, but with deep reserves of courage, striking blow after blow against the Queen's terrifying exterior, proving his prowess where others would dare not tread. Far to the south, in the arid lands of Sophonim, the great city of the desert known for its bazaars and sacred rituals, he once encountered a dwarf lost to drink. The story, recounted in Tapestry, Tale, and Herman's Chronicles, tell that Dionysius called upon the world of Saradomin's blessings, vaporized the drunken dwarf with the Saradomin strike, a spell so potent it left the sands still and silent in its wake. And beyond these legends, he walked the arenas where gladiators met their fates, battling foes only by names like Dad, where ferocity in combat made him a terror in the pits. The Shaya Khan, a mysterious predator whose swiftness and cunning tested the limits of even seasoned adventurers. For many years, too many to count, Dionysius walked. He bore witness to sunrise over distant peaks, saw flocks of birds rise above the great Caridian desert, and felt the ocean winds upon brine-soaked cliffs in the north. His travels were not just of distant, but of transformation. Each battle, each challenge, each companion on the road shaping the man he could become. He learned the tongues of the tribes and the customs of far-flung peoples. He saw creatures few scholars ever spoke of, and found realms of peace hidden amidst danger. In those days, he was not yet called the wise old man. He was a young legend in motion, full of fire and hunger for the breadth of the world. And yet, as the seasons turned to years and the years to decades, the fire within him became tampered by experience. There came a time when the roads that once called him grew quiet. The horizon no longer tugged at his spirit as fiercely. Eventually, Dionysius's footsteps carried him to a small village on the edge of gentle waters and winds. Some call it Draenor Village. Here lies his home, a modest house just north of the village bank, where he sits in robes of brown and blue cape, spectacles reflecting the candlelight and the slow passage of days. Here in Draenor, he offered counsel, not loudly, not often, but when asked, with measured voice and thoughtful gaze. Players who speak to him today hear stories, reflections, memories of the winding path he once walked. And yet a sage of long renown is not untouched by regret or longing. For as the years passed and the echoes of his adventures faded to whispers, Dionysius began to feel something unexpected, a bitterness that his many deeds had not been adequately rewarded. He had helped countless people and driven away terrors in many lands, yet here he lived, in relative quiet and modest means. Though Dionysius had long wandered as a hero and sage, there came a day where he made a choice that would astonish many. In Draenor Village, where he had settled, he committed the act now famously known as the Draenor Bank robbery. It is said that one quiet night he slipped into the bank with careful precision. He did not strike indiscriminately, he struck only to claim what he believed had eluded him for decades, acknowledgement and reward for the life of danger and sacrifice. The blue party hat, one of the rarest treasures in Gielinor, became a symbol of his daring act. Whether the act was one of folly or justice, it illustrates a truth about the man. He was brilliant, capable, and like all humans, not free from moral complexity. In his own words, later chronicled in quests and player dialogue, he seemed to justify his actions, not for greed alone, but for the recognition that had long been denied to one who had saved so many lives. His wisdom did not make him perfect, no. It made him honest in his own self-reflection. Dionysius was not only a man of action, but also a man of heart. In his younger years, he met Xenavivia, a woman whose intelligence and spirit rivaled his own. Their story is documented in the RuneScape 3 quest Love Story, and it is one of patience, misunderstanding, and quiet devotion. In the old-school RuneScape lore, the tale is mostly told through dialogue, hints, and references. Dionysius admired Xenobivia, yet the complexities of life and his wandering nature meant that he could not fully settle. Their paths diverged, and in later years, their lives only intersected in memory and reflection. In RuneScape 3, the tale of Dionysius and Xenobivia is more detailed. It describes decades of correspondence and travel, where Dionysius would send letters from his journey across Karamja jungles, the Caridian desert, and even the icy peaks near Keldagrim. He recorded her guidance and wisdom in his journals, blending it with his own adventures. This correspondence shows a side of Dionysius rarely seen in old-school RuneScape: contemplative, tender, and patient, even when the world around him demanded courage and decisiveness. Even in his later years, Dionysius' strength was called upon. In the Swangsong quest, he assisted players in combating the sea troll threat at the Piscatoris fishing colony. Here, he demonstrated both strategic brilliance and the power of his magic. He guided the player through underwater passages, identified weaknesses in the troll's defense, and applied Saradominus spells to protect the colony. His role was that of mentor, quietly ensuring that the brave adventurers would succeed, where younger, less experienced heroes might fail. In RuneScape 3, Swangsong expands upon Dionysius' battle preparation techniques, showing how he fortified the colony's defenses with arcane wards, instructed local militia in strategy, and even quelled panic among villagers with a calm voice. This version emphasizes his dual role as both warrior and sage, a man whose experience allowed him to act decisively without haste or fear. Following his adventures and quests, Dionysius often appears in Draenor as a source of guidance. Players can visit him, receive small tasks, retrieving items, sending letters, or checking under his bed for hidden knowledge. These tasks, though minor, illustrate a deep truth. Dionysius valued learning, curiosity, and the continuation of knowledge. Even seemingly trivial tasks, fetching a mysterious object or delivering a note, carrying with them lessons about observation, patience, and respect. In the slow rhythm of these tasks, one can almost sense the gentle wisdom of a man who has seen the breadth of Gielinor and knows the small acts that can ripple into great consequences. Dionysius' life intersects with many quests. Garden of Tranquility. He appears in the moments of meditation and observation, exemplifying patience and reflection. Making friends with my arm. His appearance is brief, yet his presence reminds players of his continued engagement in world affairs. In RuneScape 3, Dionysius undertakes additional adventures not detailed in old-school RuneScape, including defeating Ogre shamans in remote wilderness lands, collaborating with other legendary heroes to seal ports to Shadow Realms, detailed campaigns against the Shire Khan, a predator that roamed deserts and tundras. These events, while absent in old-school RuneScape, enrich the understanding of his capabilities, courage, and tactical genius. As the sun sets over Draenor village and the village lights begin to glow softly through the evening fog, Dionysius sits quietly in his study. He reflects not on the treasures he has won, nor the battles he has fought, but on the lives he has touched, the knowledge he has shared, and the lessons he has learned. Even the Draenor Bank robbery, a moment of moral ambiguity, is remembered not in shame, but as a testament to a human truth, that even the wisest among us wrestle with desire, fairness, and justice. Though Dionysius had found a quiet home in Draenor village, the call of adventure never truly left him. Long before he became the figure known today as the Wise Old Man, he travelled across continents, mountains, deserts, and jungles. A wanderer in pursuit of knowledge, mastery, and justice. In RuneScape 3, Dionysius' journey expands far beyond old-school RuneScape. He's recording travelling across many lands, and dealing with many dangerous creatures, or uncovering ancient relics. He learned the language of local tribes, earning their trust through wisdom and bravery. These experiences honed his strategic mind, teaching him not only the art of combat, but patience, observation, and diplomacy. Now just imagine walking silently beside him through towering ferns and tropical streams, listening to the calls of exotic birds while he points out hidden traps or safe paths. Every step, a lesson in awareness and care. Even the heat of the Caridian desert, with its endless dunes and relentless sun, could not daunt him. There, he studied the customs of the Bebedan tribes, learning survival skills, trading secrets, and uncovering forgotten tombs buried beneath centuries of sand. The harsh environment tempered with his resilience, and he often remarked that the desert teaches silence as much as it tests strength. Beyond the deserts and jungles, Dionysius became known as a hero of many realms. He faced the ogre shaman, a cunning magic wielder in the northern hills, neutralizing threats to local villagers through tactical prowess and a display of Saradominist magic. As mentioned earlier, he combated the Shaya Khan, a predator that stalked the Caridian plains, learning its patterns and teaching locals how to defend themselves. He assisted dwarves in Keldagrim during riots, suppressing violent uprisings while preserving life where possible. These feats, though not reflected in old-school RuneScape gameplay, are recorded in RuneScape 3 Chronicles and demonstrate Dionysius' blend of wisdom, courage, and ethical consideration. Even in battles of high stakes, he rarely sought glory for himself. Instead, he prioritized the safety of others, villagers and companions or allies in far-flung regions. In every challenge, he remained calm, measured, and patient. Dionysius' travels eventually took him to the coasts and cliffs of Gielinor, where sea breezes whispered secrets of the world. It was here, during Swan Song, that he assisted in defending the Piscatoris fishing colony from sea trolls. As mentioned earlier, he taught villagers and adventurers alike how to combine strategy with courage, showing that even the smallest effort could shift the tide of battle. In RuneScape 3 though, this chapter of his life is far more expansive. He organized the fortification of coastal settlements, established early warning systems for monster incursions, and personally trained the militia in magical and physical defense. Picture him standing on the cliff edge, staff raised against the wind, surveying the crashing waves below, calmly instructing a group of younger adventurers how to protect the colony from the relentless tides of sea monsters. Through these endeavors, Dionysius became known as a protector of the innocent and a teacher of courage, a theme that would define him later in Draenor. No recounting of Dionysius' life would be complete without a thorough, in-depth look at his battle with the Cowfight Queen. While old-school RuneScape references his battle with this creature as part of his legendary deeds, RuneScape 3 expands on this. The Cowfight Queen dwelled in a sprawling underground hive, its tunnels illuminated by glowing fungi and the occasional glimmer of minerals. Dionysius studied the hive meticulously, noting the queen's hunting patterns and the layout of her minions. In a calm, deliberate approach, he neutralized the queen's forces, therefore protecting nearby desert settlements. He did not act recklessly. Instead, he spent days observing, planning, and then striking with precision, demonstrating strategic patience and the mind of a master tactician. This act alone cemented his reputation across Gielinor as not only wise, but incredibly capable in direct confrontation with powerful threats. Throughout his travels, Dionysius also met countless individuals. He befriended other heroes, taught apprentices, and occasionally intervened to guide rulers in difficult decisions. As he explored the deserts, jungles, and mountains alike, he would quietly advise leaders, demonstrating not force, but subtle wisdom. His interactions were marked by gentleness, clarity, and patience, traits that later earned him the moniker Wise Old Man. Even minor encounters were meaningful. He offered help to those in dangerous regions, provided healing spells to those injured, and mediated disputes without drawing attention to himself. Each of these small deeds, seemingly insignificant, wove the fabric of his legendary reputation. After decades of wandering, Dionysius returned to Draenor village, now carrying the cumulative wisdom of countless adventures. Here he established his modest home near the bank, providing counsel to travelers and adventurers who sought him out. His deeds in RuneScape 3, though not directly in old-school RuneScape, did enrich his persona in the old-school RuneScape variant. Players who meet him today, assigning tasks, offering advice, or simply sitting by his side, are sitting by a man who has faced much and has dealt with much through patience, knowledge, and moral clarity. As the stars emerge above Gielinor, Dionysius reflects on the life he has lived. Each quest, each battle, each friendship. All of this contributed to a tapestry of experience. He knows both success and failure, joy and regret. Even the moments of moral ambiguity, such as the Draenor bank robbery, are viewed not in shame, but as part of the complexity of a long life fully lived. And so, Dionysius sits in quiet contentment. Though the world is vast, chaotic, and ever-changing, he carries wisdom, courage, patience, shared now with anyone who seeks it. In his later years, Dionysius's days flow gently, like the soft current of the river Draenor. He rises with the sun, opens his windows to the sight of first light, and listens to the quiet rhythms of the village. He tends to his small garden, carefully arranging herbs and flowers, and waters each plant with deliberate attention. He spends time in thought, reading and writing, cataloguing what he's learnt over a life of experience. Each word on the page carries purpose, each sentence a reflection of observation, insight, and patience. He is not hurried, the minutes are measured, calm and soft. Though he no longer seeks adventure, Dionysius remains a teacher at heart. Those who come to him, villagers, travelers, or young adventurers, learn not from forceful instruction, but through gentle guidance. He shows how to observe details, to notice what is important without rushing, and to consider the consequences of even small actions. A simple request to fetch an item or deliver a letter becomes an opportunity to practice thoughtfulness and mindfulness. In RuneScape 3, his guidance extends to apprentices and correspondents across Gielinor. Even distant guidance reflects his calm approach, subtle advice, encouraging reflection, and reminders that wisdom comes through thoughtfulness, not haste. His influence is quiet but enduring, shaping minds and hearts without needing recognition or glory. Dionysius spends hours in reflection. He recalls the lives he has touched, the lessons he has learned, and the decisions he has made, both correct and imperfect. He observes the small everyday moments, just like the smile of a child, the careful work of a villager, the soft movement of leaves in the breeze. He understands that these moments carry as much meaning as any heroic act. Wisdom, in his view, is found in careful attention, patience, and kindness, not in fame or power. Every simple task, writing a letter, arranging herbs, tending to books, are seen as opportunities to teach and reflect. Dionysius believes that wisdom grows in subtle acts, in observing, listening, and responding thoughtfully. Visitors who engage with him feel a sense of calm. His presence is soothing and grounding, a reminder that careful thought and reflection can influence the world just as profoundly as great deeds. Dionysius knows that his legacy is measured not in battles or treasures, but in the lives he quietly touched. Every adventure, every village, every apprentice carries a piece of his insight forward. He has taught that patience, observation, and ethical choice are far more enduring than recognition. In quiet moments, he smiles softly, satisfied that his life has passed not in vain, but in thoughtful service, reflection, and the gentle spread of wisdom. In RuneScape 3, he continues to mentor, leaving an invisible influence that shapes generations of adventurers. Even distant guidance reflects the same calm, deliberate wisdom that defines his later years. As night falls over Draenor, Dionysius sits by his window, candlelight casting a warm glow. He listens to the soft river and the quiet settling of the village. He breathes slowly, aware of each moment, content with the life that he's led and the wisdom that he has shared. He is not hurried. He does not seek more. The world continues around him and he moves in harmony with its rhythms. A living embodiment of calm, patience, and understanding. And now, as you close your eyes, imagine the serene weight of centuries of wisdom surrounding you. Let his presence, quiet and steady, guide your thoughts into rest, where reflection turns into calm and calm becomes sleep. Dionysius has always had an eye for the unusual. Even now, in his modest Draenor home, one might notice small curiosities tucked into corners. The blue party hat, carefully reminding us of his famed Draenor bank adventure, caged butterflies, preserved in delicate glass, each labelled with the day and location he collected them, a subtle testament to his patience and careful observation. Tiny gems and coins, some ancient, some curious, each catalogued with notes in his careful handwriting. He does not flaunt them, they are memories, records of the world, small reminders of lessons learned. Dionysius has always been gentle with creatures. In Draenor, he feeds the birds in the village square, quietly speaking to them as they perch near his hands. Small animals seem to trust him instinctively, sensing a calm and steady presence. Chickens, cats, and the occasional stray dog often linger near his doorstep. He once rescued a tiny bird trapped in a hedge, nursing it carefully until it could fly again. In RuneScape 3, it is said that he kept journals of animal behaviour, noting patterns, nesting habits, and subtle traits, a hobby that reflects his lifelong love of observation. Though wise, Dionysius has always appreciated the odd and whimsical. He collects rare coins and tokens, not for the wealth, but for the stories they tell, the societies that produced them, the hands they passed through. He keeps ancient maps, some delicate and faded, detailing regions most adventurers would never visit. Each map is studied slowly, as though each crease and smudge carries a lesson. Occasionally, he has been seen scribbling poems about the stars, rivers, or even the ways light reflects off a kettle. These small acts of creation are personal meditations, connecting him to the quieter beauty of the world. Though most know him for seriousness and calm, Dionysius has a playful streak. In old-school RuneScape, he sometimes offers unexpected dialogue, joking or teasing adventurers who approach too seriously. He once tricked a visiting player into searching for a key hidden under a rock, only to reveal the lesson: patience is worth more than haste. In RuneScape 3, he is noted for light-hearted mentoring, using riddles, puzzles, and subtle games to teach lessons about pressure. Despite his reputation and countless deeds, Dionysius lives simply in a home without extravagance. He wears plain robes and a simple blue cape, and his spectacles, though old, are carefully polished, reflecting a quiet respect for tools, not wealth. In RuneScape 3, he is described as eschewing recognition, focusing instead on the act of learning, observing, and sharing knowledge, even when no one is watching. This modesty is a key part of his presence, teaching that true wisdom is quiet, not loud. Some small habits about Dionysius reveal more about his character. He pauses before answering questions, choosing his words carefully. He sometimes tilts his head slightly when listening to someone, a subtle signal of attention and patience. In his study, he keeps a small hourglass, turning it slowly and reflecting, a tactile reminder of the passage of time and the value of measured action. RuneScape 3 mentions that he occasionally writes letters in invisible ink, revealing thoughts only to those patient enough to uncover them. A metaphor, perhaps for hidden wisdom waiting for careful observation. Dionysius's influence often comes in unexpected and subtle ways. A quiet hint to a player solving a quest may prevent a misstep. A single observation about the environment can change somebody's approach entirely. Even his mere presence inspires calm, patience, and thoughtfulness. In RuneScape 3, it is noted that many adventurers attribute their success or learning to fleeting interactions with Dionysius. Even when he did nothing more than observe silently, his wisdom is not in grand gestures, but in the small, deliberate, invisible impacts he leaves behind. Perhaps the greatest fact about Dionysius is what he values most: observation and reflection. He believes that the world reveals itself slowly, and that true understanding comes to those who pay attention, ask questions, and reflect deeply. Many of his so-called oddities, butterflies, coins, hourglasses, minor magical experiments, are tools for contemplation, each a small doorway into understanding the larger world. Even simple daily events, the flicker of candlelight, the movement of clouds, the rhythm of the river, are studied with gentle curiosity, revealing patterns and lessons often overlooked. And now, as you listen, remember Dionysius's life reminds us that wisdom does not always roar. Sometimes it is soft, careful, and slow. Take time to notice the small things. Observe with patience. Reflect before acting. Value the quiet moments. These small lessons, like the gentle currents of the river or the soft rustle of leaves, carry meaning that grows over time. Dionysius's legacy is not just in quests or battles, but in the quiet cultivation of thought, care, and presence. Perhaps the most significant individual ever shaped by Dionysius is the adventurer themselves. Through his travels of Gielinor, Dionysius has directly impacted many people, whether it be positive or negative. Or perhaps we focus on some of the negatives, like the bank guard killed during the robbery at Draenor Bank. This unnamed individual represents the most severe negative consequences of Dionysius's life choices. The guard's death is not heroic, not symbolic, and not redeemed. It stands as a quiet, heavy mark against Dionysius's legacy, a reminder that wisdom does not erase responsibility. Or perhaps we look from the angle of the trolls. Dionysius personally confronted Mother, their leader. He fought alongside the Keldagrim Black Guard, forcing Mother and her tribe to retreat and eventually settle in a different location. This permanently reshaped ice troll migration patterns and territorial behaviour. Mother's life is altered not by death, but by displacement. Her authority remains, but her domain changed forever. This is one of the rare cases where Dionysius reshaped an entire species. And speaking of the Black Guard, they directly benefit from Dionysius's intervention. They faced a threat that they could not contain. Dionysius entered as an external force, bringing experience, magic, and strategy. Their city is preserved, their authority reinforced, because of Dionysius. His presence affirmed the value of alliances beyond race or culture. Or perhaps the drunken dwarf I mentioned earlier. Using the Saradomin's strike spell, Dionysius vaporized him instantly. This act is not framed as heroic or tragic, it is clinical. The dwarf's life ends because Dionysius deems it necessary. It demonstrates how detached Dionysius has become when applying judgment, and how absolute his power once was. And what of the wizards of the Wizard's Tower, located not too far from Draenor Village? Though Dionysius does not hold formal office with the Wizard's Tower, his presence is acknowledged and respected. Canon sources establish that he is a mage of exceptional ability, and his reputation precedes him. Wizards who encounter him are affected not by instruction, but by comparison. His independence challenges the structured hierarchy of wizardry. Some admire his freedom, others quietly resent it. In either case, his existence forces the tower's scholars to confront the limits of rigid magical doctrine. Or the Mage of Zamorak, who exists in a world Dionysius helped shape. Dionysius's prior actions against dangerous magical entities, including demons and rogue spellcasters, contribute to the uneasy balance that allows such figures to exist on the fringes rather than in dominance. And much the same, Delrith, the demon sealed beneath Varrock. While Dionysius is not the original banisher of Delrith, canon sources list him among the few living beings with sufficient knowledge and power to understand and potentially intervene in such threats. His continued vigilance and accumulated demon-slaying experience help ensure that such evils remain contained. Delrith's continued imprisonment is not attributed to Dionysius alone, but the world's readiness to respond is shaped by figures like him. Though not formal students, the local farmers around Draenor benefit from Dionysius's presence. His past efforts to eliminate dangerous creatures and stabilize nearby regions indirectly protect their livelihoods. Crops grow because threats are removed before they arrive. Most of these people will never speak to him directly. They simply live longer, quieter lives because he once acted. While no arrest is ever made, the authorities of Mithsalen are aware of Dionysius. They know he committed crimes, he possesses overwhelming power, he is not easily controlled. Their lives are shaped by strategic restraint. They choose not to pursue him, understanding that enforcement would cost more than tolerance. This uneasy coexistence is one of Dionysius's quietest impacts. Governance shaped by fear, tempered with pragmatism. Dionysius's defeat of the powerful beasts and his role in northern conflicts ripple outwards to the Fremennik people too. Though not counted among their heroes, his actions reduce threats encroaching upon their lands. His example reinforces the Fremennik respect for individual strength and self-reliance. They may not sing his name, but they benefit from his actions. And finally, there are those who never meet Dionysius at all: historians, writers, activists, myself. His life becomes a case study, not of heroism, but of contradiction. These scholars are forced to grapple with the reality that wisdom does not guarantee morality, and power does not ensure peace. Their work becomes deeper because his life is difficult to categorize. Dionysius touches lives loudly and quietly. Some remember him clearly, some remember him as absence. Some live safely, without ever knowing why. And now, as the world settles and the stories slow, his presence fades into the background. Not forgotten, but woven into the fabric of Gielinor itself. This man does not rule a kingdom, He does not found cities or leave monuments bearing his name, and yet the land around him is different because he lived. Across Misthalin and beyond, there are places where danger once gathered and no longer does, paths once avoided and now walked without fear, settlements that might have vanished remain, quietly continuing their routines. These changes do not announce themselves, they are felt only in their absence, in what no longer threatens, in what does not come to pass. And in Draenor Village, life continues beneath the steady presence of a man who has seen catastrophe and chosen this time to prevent it. The village is not famous, not powerful, but it endures. Its nights are quieter than they may have been. Its people sleep without knowing why. Rivers flow safely to the sea because certain creatures no longer stalk their banks. Fields grow because expansion of hostile forces were halted before they could reach. Trade routes remain open, not through treaties, but because dangers were removed long ago, decisively and without ceremony. These are not acts recording in song, these are simply facts of the world. Dionysius shaped the land not by constant intervention, but by knowing when enough has been done. He understands that stability is fragile and that too much interference can fracture it just as easily as neglect. So he steps back. He watches. He allows life to resume its natural rhythm. Even his crimes alter the land. The Draenor bank robbery forces institutions to adapt, to strengthen, to reconsider their certainty. Fear gives way to caution. Assumption gives way to preparedness. The land learns, as people do, through consequences. His presence also changes how power is understood. Kings and councils know that there are forces beyond crowns and borders. Not gods, but individuals whose experience and resolve cannot be legislated away. The awareness shapes governance, encouraging restraint, patience, and negotiation over force. Creatures, too, respond to his passing. Some migrate, some retreat deeper into the wild, others vanish entirely. Ecosystems settle into new balances, shaped not by chance but by deliberate choice. And when Dionysius finally chooses stillness, when he remains in Draenor rather than moving on, the land seems to exhale. There is comfort in knowing that someone who could act does not need to. His wisdom becomes part of the soil, part of the silence between events. A quiet assurance that if something truly threatens the balance, it will not go unanswered. But until then, the world may rest. And so the land around him is calmer, not because it is safer in every moment, but because it has been given time. Time to heal, time to grow, time to simply exist without being tested. As night settles over Gielinor, there are no banners marking his deeds, no statues watching the horizon. Only the soft continuation of life, steady, unremarkable, and peaceful. And that, perhaps, is his greatest work.